Previously, Shen had refused to let Gu accompany him, but the village leader insisted she could go with him. As they approached, they heard the sounds of battle. Shen spotted a group of 5 players from the Green Snake Gang. The group leader noticed Gu and inquired about her, but Shen quickly advised him to refrain from asking further. Suddenly, Gu sensed an impending threat. Shen felt it too and dashed away just in time. The group mocked Shen for his weakness, oblivious to the danger lurking behind them. In an instant, one member was taken down in a single bite, leaving the rest in stunned silence. Now to this week's chapter. The leader's scream echoed through the air as they saw their teammate fall. Panic gripped the group, their faces pale with fear as they scattered in every direction. In the shadows, the boss's glowing red eyes watched them intently, a predator ready to strike. The boss sprang into action, enveloping itself in darkness and disappearing into the shadows. It moved silently, a chilling presence lurking, ready to strike at any moment. Suddenly, it launched its assault, darting in and out of the shadows, disappearing and reappearing to strike. The group was helpless, trapped in a deadly game as the boss toyed with them. After toying with its prey long enough, the boss raised its claw, ready for the final blow. Blood filled the air as it effortlessly defeated the group. Shen watched from a distance, activating his skill to assess the boss's stats. The system revealed it was the White Wolf King at level 20, with weaknesses in its abdomen and eyes. However, he noted with frustration that the boss's skills were temporarily unavailable. He drew his weapon, ready for action, noting the boss's hidden tricks. The speed it had just shown far surpassed the displayed stat of 40. He knocked an arrow, strategizing how to test the boss's skills. Suddenly, Gu placed her hand in front of the arrow, halting him. He glared, insisting she move her hand, but she replied firmly that he couldn't attack just yet. Sensing their presence, the boss glanced back and realized it was at a disadvantage. It quickly decided that retreat was the best option. Shen could only curse as he watched the boss flee. Grabbing Gu, he jumped to the ground, insisting they had to catch up with it. Just then, Gu spoke up, urging him not to chase after the boss. She explained that the only reason the boss had emerged was that the other group had hunted too many wolves, attracting it. She continued, pointing out that Shen was too weak to face the boss right now, and provoking it would be a poor course of action. She looked up at him with confidence, stating they needed to prepare thoroughly before attempting to hunt the boss. Shen reflected on how NPCs offered hints based on their affinity for him and realized she was speaking the truth. But he questioned her, pointing out that if they let it go, how would they find it again? Gu wasn't worried. Instead, she reached into her dress and reassured him that she had something to help. She pulled out a map that resembled a child's drawing and explained that it was an auto pathfinder map, capable of locating the boss. He took the map, astonished by what he held. He raised an eyebrow, questioning why she hadn't mentioned it earlier. Gu simply smiled cheekily, making a peace sign with her hand, conveying that sticking with her would bring him more gains. Just then, the system announced that his skill called Evolution was ready to use again. He glanced down at his wristband, which was glowing with energy. He smiled, realizing this was good news. Gu had said he was too weak, and this could help him if he used the skill properly. As the energy glowed around him, Gu watched in awe, commenting on how beautiful it was and asking him what it was. He told her to just watch as he prepared to show off a bit. Looking down at his glowing wristband, he brought it to his chest and confidently called for the skill to activate using his bloodline again. But just then, a system window popped up, indicating an error. He looked confused as he read it, while Gu wondered what error meant. Another window appeared, stating that he had already evolved his bloodline and couldn't do it again, adding that it was a nice try. Shen's face flushed with embarrassment. His attempt to show off hadn't gone as planned. He shrugged, saying it was worth a try and that trying wasn't against the rules of the game. Frustrated that he couldn't use the skill on his bloodline, he muttered that he could only activate it for his phantom skill, which he hadn't even used yet. Gu looked puzzled, not understanding his words. He raised his hands, deciding it was time to see what the skill could do. Phantom skill, activate, he called out, closing his fists. A glow radiated from them as a large ball of energy shot into the air. Gu watched in amazement, captivated by the spectacle. The energy gathered and transformed into water, swirling together at the center. Suddenly, the core exploded, and a water figure resembling Shen emerged. The watery version of him fell to the ground as Shen smiled, while Gu looked on, impressed by the sight of another version of him. He glanced back at her, both he and his water doppelganger laughing at the unexpected turn of events. Turning his attention to the water phantom, he clicked his fingers, commanding it to use the scale 7-star arrow attack. He figured it was a perfect opportunity to test the phantom's abilities. The phantom received the command and pulled back an arrow, calm and focused as more arrows materialized around it. Just then, Shen raised his hand, ordering it to stop, wanting to verify if the phantom could indeed use skills. Pleased with the results, he placed his hands on his hips and exclaimed with joy that, since he had a hidden class, it was expected that the phantom could use skills as well. Closing his eyes in happiness, he reveled in the thought of all the skills he possessed. Suddenly, he realized that if the phantom could use all his skills, that opened up countless combinations for him. His mind raced with possibilities as he envisioned everything he and his phantom could achieve together. Excitement bubbled within him at the thought of their newfound potential. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and like. It really helps me out.